Bird Box, 2018, full movie recap. The world doesn't begin here. It ends. In a dimly lit room, Mallory Hayes crouches in front of two small children. Her face is drawn and hard, her eyes shadowed by exhaustion, her voice sharp and commanding. She does not call them by names, only the boy and girl. Her words cut the air with urgency. Listen to me. We are going on a trip now. It's going to be rough. It's going to feel long. You cannot take off your blindfold. If you do, you will die. Do you understand? You will die. The children sit still, trembling, their small hands clenched. They do not fully understand, but the gravity in their mother's tone roots them in fear. She ties blindfolds over their eyes, adjusting them tightly, leaving no gap for light. Then she collects their supplies, food, blankets, a bird cage with two jittery birds. The birds flap and chirp inside, their voices anxious, as if they, too, understand the danger outside. She leads the children to the riverbank where a rowboat waits. Her movements are steady, practiced, though the tremor in her jaw betrays the fear she pushes down. She lifts the children into the boat, sets down the cage of birds, and pushes off from the shore. The river is quiet, the forest on either side dark and looming. As the boat drifts into the current, the water splashing gently against its sides, Mallory grips the oars with blind determination. This journey is no choice, it is their last chance. And as the boat glides down the water's spine, the story fractures. The film takes us back, 5 years earlier, when the world still existed, fragile but intact, oblivious to the doom that crept closer each day. Before the collapse. Mallory Hayes was an artist, though artist felt more like an identity assigned than embraced. Her studio was filled with canvases, unfinished and muted, colors smeared without joy. She was pregnant, heavily so, though motherhood hung on her shoulders not as a blessing but a burden. The child inside her felt more like an obligation, an anchor to a life she had never been sure she wanted. Her sister Jessica, lively and warm, arrived to take her to a doctor's appointment. Jessica filled the silence with chatter, jokes, and concern. She teased Mallory about her paintings, asked about the baby, tried to draw her out of her shell. Mallory brushed her off, deflecting with indifference. On the television, ominous news unfolded, mass suicide sweeping across Europe, Russia, and Asia. Grainy footage showed people screaming, clawing at themselves, smashing into walls, running into traffic, setting themselves aflame. The reports were relentless, but like many, Mallory dismissed them as distant tragedies, disasters that happen over there and never truly arrive. At the hospital, Dr. Lapham greeted her warmly but with concern. She sensed Mallory's detachment, her lack of excitement for the child. Mallory admitted she felt no connection, no bond, and the thought of raising the baby terrified her. The doctor reassured her gently, but Mallory's face remained clouded. Leaving the hospital, Jessica tried once more to lighten the mood. They joked, teased, but unease pressed at the edges of their day. Then the world cracked open. The day it began. Outside, chaos bloomed like fire. A woman in a hospital gown smashed her head against glass until it shattered. Screams erupted. Sirens wailed. People scattered in every direction, their faces twisted in unseen horror. Jessica and Mallory fled to their car, hearts pounding. Jessica sped through the streets as pandemonium erupted. People crashed cars, hurled themselves into traffic, set buildings ablaze. Each victim looked first at something invisible in the air, and then ended themselves. Mallory shouted for her sister to drive, to keep going, but then Jessica's voice grew distant, awed, hollow. Do you see it? Her eyes glazed over. Her face slackened. She turned the wheel sharply. The car flipped, metal screeching, glass shattering. Mallory crawled from the wreckage, dazed, her stomach throbbing with pain. She screamed for Jessica, but her sister wandered into the street, her eyes empty, her voice calm. Mallory's scream caught in her throat as Jessica stepped deliberately into the path of a speeding truck. Mallory staggered, stunned, surrounded by a world collapsing. People screamed, bodies fell, fires spread. An unseen force prowled the edges of vision, carried on the wind like whispers. She ran, stumbled, nearly fell. A woman named Lydia grabbed her, trying to help her reach safety. But Lydia's eyes flicked upward, at something, and her face twisted in despair. Without hesitation, she climbed into a burning car and let herself be consumed. Mallory screamed, pounding at the nearest door, desperate. A man named Tom pulled her inside. She collapsed into darkness, gasping, alive but shattered. Inside the house, strangers had gathered, bound by chance and fear. There was Douglas, bitter and blunt, who argued with everyone, his gentle wife Cheryl, Lucy and Felix, young and nervous, both police officers, Charlie, a grocery clerk with an overactive imagination, and later, Olympia, another pregnant woman, soft and frightened. They covered the windows, blocked the light, and sat in silence as the outside world crumbled. The television broadcasted warnings until the signal died: do not look outside. Do not look at it. Stay indoors. Cover your windows. But no one knew what it was. Charlie theorized about ancient creatures, demons, biblical plagues, beings too terrible for the human mind to comprehend. His words unsettled them, but they had no better explanation. The house became their fragile sanctuary. Food dwindled quickly, and Tom suggested they risk a grocery run. They blacked out a car's windows, using GPS to navigate. Mallory, Tom, Charlie, Lucy, and Felix ventured out. The drive was harrowing, the car bumping blindly, voices whispering from outside, calling their names, coaxing them to look. They resisted, hearts pounding. At the grocery store, relief washed over them, shelves still full, supplies untouched. They laughed, almost forgetting the nightmare. But then came the man, eyes wild, voice raving. He spoke of the creatures as beautiful, divine. He had seen them and lived, proof of a darker truth: not everyone dies. Some become zealots, fanatics devoted to spreading the creature's influence. Charlie sacrificed himself, locking the man away, buying the others time to escape. His screams echoed as they fled, their arms full of supplies, their hearts heavy with guilt. Back at the house, the group argued about survival, about rules. Douglas's harsh pragmatism clashed with Tom's quiet compassion. Mallory bonded with Olympia, their pregnancies binding them together. For the first time, Mallory showed a flicker of tenderness, a willingness to protect not just herself but another. Then came Gary. A desperate knock at the door, a man begging for refuge. He claimed he had been attacked by zealots who forced people to look. Against Douglas's protests, they let him in. Gary seemed harmless, grateful, but unease lingered. Soon after, Olympia went into labor. At the same time, Mallory's contractions began. The house filled with screams, urgency, and chaos. Cheryl and Tom rushed to help. Mallory delivered a boy, strong and wailing. Olympia delivered a girl, fragile and beautiful. 2 new lives cried out into the world. But Gary's mask slipped. As the mothers clutched their newborns, he muttered about how the others should see the creatures, how hiding was wrong. Quietly, he uncovered the windows, letting the light seep in. Cheryl caught him, horrified, but it was too late. One by one, the survivors fell. Cheryl succumbed, smashing her head. Olympia, weak from childbirth, caught sight of the light. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered an apology to her baby before stepping out the window to her death. Mallory, clutching both infants, screamed, desperate to shield them. Gary tried to tear away her blindfold, raving about beauty, about truth. Tom fought him fiercely. A gunshot cracked through the air, and Gary fell dead. Tom stood, shaken but alive. But the house was empty now. Only Mallory, Tom, and the 2 infants remained. Years passed. Civilization withered. The house became a refuge, then a prison. Mallory hardened further, raising the children without names, just boy and girl. Names, she believed, were dangerous. Names made things real, and reality was death.
Tom became their light. He told the children stories, gave them laughter, tried to teach them there was more than fear. Mallory scolded him, insisting softness would kill them. Yet secretly, she leaned on him. Their bond deepened, unspoken but undeniable. One day, a voice crackled over the radio, survivors downstream, a sanctuary, a community. Tom believed it was their salvation. Mallory resisted. The journey was too dangerous, especially with children. But Tom's hope was unshakable. The decision was stolen from them. While scavenging, zealots attacked. Tom fought to protect them, but he was cornered. To save Mallory and the children, he looked directly at the creatures. His face twisted in anguish as whispers filled his mind. Yet through sheer will, he turned his weapon on the zealots, killing them before turning the gun on himself. Mallory heard the shots. When Tom didn't return, her chest hollowed with grief. But she didn't cry. She couldn't. She gathered the children, the birds, and supplies. The sanctuary was no longer a choice. It was the only chance left. The story returned to the boat. Mallory rowed blindly, the children huddled, the birdcage rattling. The river was treacherous, rapids tossing them violently. At one point, Mallory faced an impossible choice, only one of the children could look to guide them. Her voice trembled as she prepared to choose, but she couldn't. She refused to sacrifice either. She rowed on blindly, muscles burning, heart pounding. The boat capsized. Supplies spilled into the water. Mallory clutched the children, dragging them to shore, shivering, gasping. The birds survived too, their frantic chirps filling the air. They stumbled into the forest, blindfolded, whispers surrounding them. Finally, they reached it. A fortified compound hidden deep in the forest. The gates opened to reveal life, a community of survivors, thriving, safe. Many were blind, immune to the creature's power. Mallory, stunned, stepped inside with the children. Birds chirped in a vast aviary, their cries no longer warnings but songs of life. The story ended not with victory over monsters, but with survival, resilience, and the quiet triumph of hope.